So I want to transition back to the Chicago Bears. I do not believe the Chicago Bears are going to make the playoffs in 2021. Obviously, the Bears made it to the playoffs last year in 2020. But quite frankly, that was based off of luck, okay? The Bears backdoored their way into the playoffs because the Cardinals at the end of the season, they choked, and the Bears owned the tiebreaker over the Cardinals, and they got in the playoffs somehow. I didn't think Chicago was a playoff team last year just because they weren't very good at quarterback. Their offensive line wasn't very good, and I kind of feel the same way this year. I think Chicago got lucky last year to make the playoffs, but this year, that luck is going to run out, okay? Because here's the thing, everyone, when I make these predictions, a lot of fans get mad at me when I don't put their team in the playoffs. Here's the reality, people. What y'all have to realize is every single year, in the NFL especially, there's more than likely going to be a couple of new playoff teams. Not every single team is going to make the playoffs every single year. There's an off season. There's a draft. There's injuries. Football is a game of inches, by the way. 1 minute you could catch a team when they're really, really hot and playing great football, and they might catch you on a bad day. Or you could have about 10 players on IR, and if you didn't have those 10 players on IR, you beat that team, but because you didn't have those players available to play, you lose. Football is a game of inches, and football is a game where things swing week to week, okay? So, in reality, you have to isolate the teams that are going to be consistent. In Chicago, I don't believe they're one of those teams. And, by the way, over the past 3 years, each year in the NFL, over the past 3 years, we've had at least 3 new playoff teams. So, there's some sacrificial lambs out there that are going to have to get sacrificed. And the Bears are going to be one of those teams this year in 2021. What did the Chicago Bears do this offseason to legitimately improve their playoff chances? What did they do? They drafted Telvin Jenkins. Oh, he's a rookie and he's already hurt. Oh, you drafted Justin Fields. For the future, Chicago Bears fans should be excited. And even this season, I think Chicago Bears fans should be excited to see what Justin Fields does. But should we expect Justin Fields as a rookie quarterback to come in and lead this team to the playoffs in a division with Aaron Rodgers and a pretty well-rounded Minnesota Vikings roster? I don't think so. Okay, and we don't even know if Justin Fields is going to start day one. And I'm sorry, but if Andy Dalton and Nick Foles are starting most of the season, this is not a playoff team. It's just not. Andy Dalton and Nick Foles, at this point in their careers, they're cooked. They're not dynamic quarterbacks. They never have been. And there's nothing dynamic about them. Okay? And let's just even say Justin Fields is great as a rookie. That's great. You know who else was great as a rookie last year? Justin Herbert. And the Chargers won 7 games. Deshaun Watson was on pace to have a better season than what Justin Herbert had his rookie season. Deshaun Watson's rookie season was on pace to be better than Justin Herbert's rookie season. And guess what? Before Deshaun Watson got hurt, Deshaun Watson got hurt, but in the games he played, the Texans were 500. As great as Deshaun Watson was, he was all-time great. Texans were 500. Justin Herbert last year, all-time great rookie season. 7 wins. 7 wins for the Chargers. So just because Justin Fields is great and really talented, that doesn't mean it will translate to wins automatically. Right now, currently, Green Bay and Minnesota are better football teams. I don't want to talk about Green Bay that much anymore because I've already gone over them. They're going to win the NFC North. From top to bottom, they have the most complete roster in the division. Aaron Rodgers is still playing great football. They're going to win anywhere from 10 to 13 games. Barring injuries, Green Bay will be in the playoffs, okay? Minnesota, I've already talked about them. They had a great draft, a great free agency period. A lot of their defensive starters come back this year. Minnesota has a pretty well-rounded roster. They will be better this year. They will make the playoffs. So you're already behind Green Bay and Minnesota, in my opinion, Chicago. I believe every NFC West team is more talented than Chicago. Like right now, I think the Cardinals, I think the Rams, I think the Seahawks, I think the 49ers from top to bottom, they're better than Chicago. Washington, to me, has a better roster than Chicago. Washington was a playoff team last year. Tampa Bay, obviously, is better. And the Saints, in my opinion, have a better roster. The Saints made the playoffs last year. They even beat Chicago last year in Chicago. So, if you're the 9th or 10th best NFC team from a talent perspective, I don't have a whole lot of confidence saying you're going to be a playoff team. And I think Matt Nagy's a good head coach, but he's not quite in the category with Belichick, Brian Flores, Sean McDermott, to a point where every single year I say, yeah, because Chicago has Matt Nagy as their head coach, they're going to make the playoffs. So that's how I feel. I don't think Chicago's making the playoffs. The defense is pretty good, but they do have an old, aging roster, especially on defense. Players are getting older. And the last 2 years, the defense has gotten worse, okay? It was really, really all-time great good in 2018. 2019 was pretty good. Last year was pretty good. This year it'll be pretty good, but not quite as good in my opinion. The offensive line still really isn't good. The weapons are just okay. The wide receivers are just okay. Like, I think Chicago has talent, but kind of an average roster to me. And I don't think Chicago makes the playoffs this year. I think they're an average team. They'll win about 7, 8, maybe 9 games, but that won't be enough to make the playoffs. The Chicago Bears are not a playoff team in 2021 for all the reasons I mentioned. But I do believe the future is bright for Justin Fields and the Bears if they continue to build up this roster and Justin Fields develops properly. But that's how I feel. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juiciest Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juiciest Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.